of your time, sir. So I'm just going to do a hard shift here to endpoint detection has always been important. It always will be. But we're seeing a shift in the space, or at least in the marketing of the space, to XDR. And what we're seeing there, obviously, is Microsoft, although we don't break it down by security product in this survey because it would fill up the entire screen. They have really made a name for themselves in security over the last decade. But as far as a best of breed or a niche player, CrowdStrike is certainly leading the way on that XDR revolution, and SentinelOne is as well. The data on SentinelOne to date is coming down drastically. Last survey, Crowd and SentinelOne were neck and neck. So I don't yet have a true picture of this from a data perspective, but halfway through, we're seeing a big bifurcation between these two leading vendors.
Yep.
Curious, sir, your thoughts on this endpoint migration to an XDR solution. Do either of these have a lead, and why?
So the first thing I'll say is XDR is an undefined technology.
Yeah.
You can talk to 10 different vendors and get 10 different explanations of what they consider to be XDR. So for myself, after, reading a lot of the material and talking to my peers, I'm defining XDR as a combination of EDR, non-endpoint log collection, and automation. So those are the three requirements, in my opinion, for any solution to start advertising themselves as XDR. CrowdStrike had, with their acquisition of Humio and their introduction of their Fusion platform, is starting to go down that particular road. SentinelOne has a very good product, and they are coming in below pricing of CrowdStrike, so they're winning a lot of deals on their price. I'm not certain from a capability standpoint if they have the breadth of solutions in their platform that CrowdStrike has across the board. That's one concern. They do have some nice capabilities. CrowdStrike doesn't from a recovery standpoint, but CrowdStrike is the leader in this particular market. That being said, Microsoft, of course, is Microsoft. And if you are a Microsoft shop, if you are an Office 365 shop, if you have those E5 licenses, you get all of that security capability built in. So why would you buy something else?
Yeah, and their feature set's getting just as good. And
yeah,
you're not going to bet against them on the automation side either.
No, and a up-and-comer in this market is CyberReason.
CyberReason, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have them on my radar. Thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah, so they have a definite solution in the EDR space, and they're offering a unique capability in the XDR space, sitting on top of Google Chronicle, and providing vendor agnostic analytics and analysis. So they're in the process of being able to ingest logs from CrowdStrike or from SentinelOne or from Microsoft into their XDR solution, and then they're utilizing APIs to be able to then do that automation against those other platforms, even though they are also an EDR vendor. So.
And when you say vendor agnostic, that is also cloud agnostic, because some of the knocks I've heard on Microsoft product going into the XDR space is that it works great if you're fully in a Microsoft ecosystem, but if you're multi-cloud, that's really not the choice you want.
Yeah, I believe they're cloud agnostic as well, but I could say the same thing for CrowdStrike as well, with their Humio solution.
Yeah. Exactly, which is why that was such an important acquisition, because if you are multi-cloud, Microsoft's probably not going to be your number one choice.
Correct.
You made another comment there when you were defining XDR, and it was log aggregation. I've heard a lot of people say they believe XDR. First of all, I agree with you. It's an undefined term so far. It's a evolving definition of what XDR is. But I've heard a lot of your colleagues say XDR should replace a SIEM. Do you agree with that?
Yes, to a certain extent. So there's always a caveat.
No, that's fine. I get it.
Yeah. So XDR should be your central log collection and analysis solution. It should have the capabilities of doing those automated responses, the orchestration, the enrichment of your log sources, and the data normalization across the board. But I don't think XDR is the place for long-term log retention. So I think, especially when you start getting you advance your program, you get into threat hunting, you need that long-term retention to look at, do that data analytics to find the needle in the stack of needles per se. And with XDR, it's going to be cost prohibitive to retain that information in that solution for a long period of time. So you have to have the ability to offload that into some type of long-term storage or cold storage in a cloud solution, or potentially to some type of log collector on premise. So that's where I think the difference between XDR and SIEM. Today, SIEM is a log collection aggregation. It's focused on detection, whereas XDR is focused on prevention and remediation. But you still need to be able to retain those logs, some organizations from a compliance standpoint, some others because they're starting to advance their capabilities and utilize those threat hunting activities by their internal teams.
I'd love to dig in more on that, but I want to jump on others. But some really great points out there from the IT practitioner side, the compliance. How long do you have to keep logs? But I'm going to real quick follow up. If it wasn't compliance driven from a true security, hygiene, and security practice, how long do you need to keep those logs? How much storage do you really need to allocate to log storage?
It's all going to depend on your industry, but for me, the mean time to detection numbers that are out there in the market are anywhere from 180 to 365 days.
Okay.
So if you're looking for information related to an event that happened 10 months ago, you need those logs to be able to look at. When we went through the SolarWinds,
that's the one I'm thinking about too.
Yep. We had to go back almost a year, and we had those logs so that we could prove that we were not affected by it.
All right.